Hello, welcome to the September 12th, 2023 City Council meeting. Please stand for invocation by Councilmember Helgeson, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear Lord, we bow our heads before you tonight. Thank you for your many wonderful blessings that you've given to us individually and this wonderful city. Lord, as we debate city's business, I pray that you will give us wisdom that only comes from you, where we put ourselves aside and only vote for the concerns for our citizens, our taxpayers, our city. And Lord, I pray that you will give us wisdom. Bless this meeting tonight that will be honor and glorying to you. And thank you for dying for us. And thank you for all these wonderful blessings we have. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda for Alan Shrestler to speak during public comment.
Alan Trester. Everybody okay with that? Okay, that's fine.
And Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I'd also like to divide all three questions on the consent agenda.
Divide, okay.
All three questions on the consent agenda.
Okay, there was a,
We can just pull item 2 and 3
okay.
to next meeting.
Okay, well, the motion is from Councilman Helgeson to actually put off agenda items 2 and 3 to the September 26th meeting so that everybody has a chance to read the minutes. Some members have not had a chance to. Is
I'll
that
second that motion.
okay? You have a consensus? Okay, so we're going to take off 2 and 3 on the consent agenda for tonight. We'll put it on the 26th. All right, so going to recognitions. Virginia Committee of Employer Support of Guard and Reserve Award, the Lynchburg Fire Department. Mr. Emerson is coming forward.
Madam Mayor, council members, my name is Ronnie Emerson, and I am with the Virginia Committee of Employer Support of Guard and Reserve. And I'm the chair of the Piedmont, Roanoke area that stretches from Danville, Lynchburg, Roanoke, and up to Stanton. In addition to talking to the Guard and Reserve units and employers, we also make awards. And each year, the Virginia Committee selects one large business, one small business, and one government entity. And I am here tonight to present the Pro Patriot Award, what is the highest award the Virginia Committee can present to the Lynchburg Fire Department for their outstanding support of the men who are in the Guard and Reserve. This is not my first opportunity to be before you, and we're just so delighted that the committee has selected the Lynchburg Fire Department. And if I could, it's presented on behalf of the men and women of America's Reserve Forces for outstanding service to the national defense through continuing support of the National Guard and the Reserve. And if I could, please have the chief of the fire department. This is what the award looks like. And again, on behalf of the Virginia Committee, we want to present this to the Lynchburg Fire Department chief, and we wanted to do it in front of the council to let them know how much we appreciate your support and the fire department's support. So, Chief, on behalf of the Virginia Committee, thank you so much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Emerson. Chief
Thank
Armser,
you.
would you like to say a few words?
Madam Mayor, Mr. Vice Mayor, members of council, it's with great pride and gratitude that I accept this award on behalf of the fire department. Our entire staff has a commitment to service above self, and this recognition is especially poignant as we remember and never forget the September 11th attacks, a time that challenged our nation's spirit and resolve. The Lynchburg Fire Department's unwavering support during these challenging times echoes the resiliency and selflessness that emerged in the aftermath of that tragic day. The department consistently demonstrates unwavering support for our military, including those in the Guard and Reserve who serve our nation with valor. In our department, among our ranks, are a number of active and retired military members, including, as examples, a military police officer, a lieutenant colonel, a sergeant major, a Gold Star family member, 2 to be exact, and a Purple Heart recipient, as well as a logistics officer. Through their dedication to the principles of service above self, they have set a remarkable example of patriotism, unity, and resilience. It is my hope that the dedication of our department and its employees serve as an inspiration to all. And thank you again to Ronnie Emerson and his team for their support, and all of those who serve at home and abroad for their unwavering commitment to our country and ensuring that the brave individuals who serve in the Guard and Reserve can continue to do so with confidence and pride. Thank you so much.
So much. Again. Moving on to our consent agenda. Tonight's City Council agenda is divided into 4 sections: consent agenda, public hearing, public comment, and general business. The first section is the consent agenda. This section includes routine items, and all items may be approved by one vote. And now we only have item number 4 on the consent agenda. Vice Mayor Feraldi.
So moved as amended.
Oh, okay.
Second.
Okay. Everybody please vote on the consent agenda.
The motion passes 7-0.
Okay, great. Moving on to public hearing. Next section is public hearings. This section includes all public hearings as required by law or as council may direct. Procedure. Staff will make a presentation. Comments will then be solicited from the public. An individual speaker shall have 3 minutes to speak. If the speaker represents a group, the speaker shall have 5 minutes. A speaker representing a group shall identify that group at the beginning of his or her remarks, and a group may have only one spokesperson. Each speaker shall clearly state his or her name and locality of residence. Upon the conclusion of public comments, the public hearing will be closed and the matter referred to council for deliberation. Consideration of adopting Resolution R23, granting a conditional use permit to allow the construction of a 150-foot telecommunications tower to be located at 119 Leroy Bowen Drive. Staff will provide a brief summary of the request. Mr. Tom Martin.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council. The property is recommended for employment use, uses on the future land use map, and it's currently zoned B1 Limited Business District conditional. The property is currently vacant. The B1 district would permit the construction of a 100-foot telecommunications tower by right. However, the petitioner is requesting up to a 150-foot tower, which requires approval of the conditional use permit by council. The petitioner stated that the tower is necessary to provide uninterrupted personal communication service for U.S. Cellular. However, the proposed tower would allow for the co-location from other carriers. The tower would be painted dark brown on the first 40 feet, and the remainder of the tower would be galvanized in order to blend in with the sky over time. The petitioner has provided several photo simulations, and as requested, they provide an additional photo simulation from Sandusky, in particular at the intersection of Sutherland Place and Custer Drive. And if you look at the very top where the arrow is, that is the top of the tower. This was presented to City Council for a business item briefing back in July 11th, and it went to a public hearing with the Planning Commission on July the 26th, at which time they recommended approval.
We will call you back up. If you have any questions. Would the petitioner like to make a presentation?
Hi, my name is John Wallace. I'm with LCC Telecom Services. We're basically the site acquisition agent for U.S. Cellular. We put a lot of careful thought into locating this site. It's an unused commercial lot at the end of a cul-de-sac overlooking Dreaming Creek, and I understand the concern of the residential further north from there. It's about a half mile. You really just can't see it. We also presented the view of an existing tower from the same distance, so you could see that we weren't making up some kind of diminutive little dot that it is on the horizon. One of the other conditions from the Plan Commission I would just like to point out was a recommendation, we work with the city's forester just to work with landscaping around the compound that would go in there. It's currently a mix of pines and deciduous and cedar trees. Instead of doing a cookie cutter arborvitae or something around the perimeter, we thought we'd do something that more naturally fit in with the context. So working with your arborist to do that. It's really kind of all I wanted to add to that. And again, I'll be available as well if there's any questions.
Great, thank you so much. Is there anyone here that would like to speak in favor? Anyone who would like to speak in opposition? Any phone calls from citizens? Okay. The public hearing is now closed, and the matter rests with council. Do I have, Vice Mayor Foley?
So moved.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
Only that I had requested some extra viewpoints on this proposal, and they were provided, and I appreciate it, and looking forward to supporting it.
Great. Anyone else? Councilman Hugginson?
Mr. Martin, the stealth, I know you put in there in your summation with regarding stealth, so.
Yes, sir. So the ordinance does require towers to be stealth. However, that can be accomplished in a variety of ways, and we actually worked with the petitioner to look at doing the tree, the Christmas tree, and it just looked very odd at that level. After much discussion, we felt that painting the bottom 40 feet brown and letting the remainder just blend would be the best in this scenario.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, let's go ahead and vote, please.
The motion passes 7-0.
Great. All right, moving on to public comment. During public comment, individual speakers have 3 minutes to speak, and those representing a group have 5 minutes to speak. Typically, City Council takes comments made during the public comment section of the agenda under advisement and may refer concerns to the city manager for follow-up. Citizens often express conflicting and diverse positions regarding specific issues under consideration. To encourage citizen participation and to avoid intimidation to persons who may express sometimes unpopular opinions, applause, cheers, jeers, or jeers from the audience are not permitted. When appearing before City Council, citizens may not engage in behavior that intimidates or insults others, engage in disruptive behavior, use profanity or vulgar language, promote private business ventures, or campaign for office. We will now hear from a citizen concerning the closure of Darrington Elementary School. Consuela Mosley.
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council. My name is Consuela Mosley. I reside in Ward 2. I'm speaking on the closure of Darrington Elementary. I am very disappointed that you heard these two consultants that don't have a clue as to how close these children are in walking distance. Some of y'all might heard my speech, but some of y'all haven't. Some say the same thing so my point can get across to their schools. Not alone, their only focus is on Ward 2 schools, which is a majority black and majority black neighborhood. Darrington Elementary School has been an exceptional school. They have innovation, STEM, and Spanish that starts in kindergarten. They have wonderful teachers and staff who loves the children. My question is, how much is the school going to cost to build? That same amount of money you're going to use to build another school? That same amount of money you can put into Darrington Elementary? Or are you saying our children at Darrington Elementary is not good enough to save their school because it is Ward 2, which is majority black neighborhoods? No matter what you do, everything needs maintenance and gonna cost. Closing our children's schools and building another one is not going to cut down cost effectiveness or maintenance work. Let me tell you what is going to cost: behavior problems. For overcrowdedness, and our children want to get their proper attention to learn. Our village is broken. What happened to it takes a village to raise the children, and the children are our future. Fire these two consultants and hire two new ones for second opinion that really care about our children. I am a former Darrington Elementary School student, plus my two daughters who also attended Darrington Elementary as well. we got word that you already disposed of fault. It's not the children's fault. The city has no more land to build on. So they want to take our children's school from them. Before I conclude, the city spent $90 million for Heritage High School. I'm pretty sure that Darrington Elementary is not going to cost that much for them. So if you can spend $90 million, you can spend some millions on Ward 2 schools for those same children that are supporting us. Just remember, the children are our future.
Thank you very much. Now hear from a citizen regarding the LCS Facilities Master Plan, Kimberly Dyke-Harsley.
Hello, I'm speaking on behalf of Darrington Neighborhood Association. My name is Kimberly Dyke-Harsley, and I live in Ward 2. On August 8th, there was a joint meeting between School Board and City Council where the LCS Facilities Master Plan was discussed. Dr. Richards suggested that Lynchburg should be Virginia's capital. He should know that Lynchburg was Virginia's capital for 5 days, April 6th through 10th, in 1865, during the fall of the Confederacy in Richmond. Other info that wasn't included in the master plan, speaking of Confederacy, it's written that a community was named after a Confederate general, James Deering. If you do an asset mapping of Darrington, it includes the following assets, which are within 1/2 to 1 mile. Desi School, 7 out of 10 live in the zone. There's the Historical Union Cemetery, Jefferson Park, Recreation Center, Central Hospital, New Darrington Baptist Church, other faith houses, 2 stores, one with a gas station. GOTC has a route through Darrington. EC Glass High School, go Hilltoppers. I walked there myself. Public library, the plaza, banks, restaurants, an eye doctor. Individual assets would include neighborhood grandmothers, grandfathers, moms, and dads, fruit trees, and gardens. That's a stable, whole community. That institution cannot be closed, or it would destabilize that whole community. If you look on the website for Darrington Elementary School for Innovation, it tells you that the curriculum integrates language arts, reading, science with the great Dr. Tawanda Johnson with her fully equipped PRISM Science Lab. She taught my children, by the way. All 5 of them graduated from DESI. Technology, research, and art, English, language learning programs, special education, Title I reading and math, and character education. That's a true neighborhood school. In the report on page 31 of 178 pages, quote, the city will experience significant growth, 10%, in the Darrington and Heritage Elementary attendance zone. Greenfield Apartments, Dr. Richards also spoke about $5 a mile for bus transportation. Greenfield Apartments to Heritage Elementary School, I know because I was bused there, is 7 to 9.5 miles. Versus Bass, which is expecting a significant decline of 12.8%, 2.5 miles. There's also a bus where parents can get from Greenfield to Bass. Parent engagement. Modular unit removal should bring the utilization rate up, according to Dr. Richards. Or perhaps replace that with the permanent structure. That should go along with the new roof work that money was spent this summer. I know because I watched them do it. Yes, there's landlocked properties. Most of them are, including Desi, Heritage, R.S. Payne, Perrymont. They share land. Sheffield and Bedford Hills have no buildable areas, but none have a whole community with less than a mile to walk. Plenty of schools have been closed in Ward 2. Dunbar High School, It's now Dunbar Middle. Janet Sneed School, shut down. It's now Parks and Rec headquarters. I know, because I used to work there. Armstrong Elementary. The original building was demolished in 1959. It was shut down. It's now housing for rush homes. Elizabeth Kaiser Elementary School, shut down. All of these are still, I believe, Ward 2. My representative can tell me. Actually, there's 3 at large, so you 3 may be able to tell me too. That was turned into Laurel School. Frank Roan Elementary, shut down. It's now housing for seniors. You see the pattern? Ward 2. 2020, Holy Cross Catholic School. I understand it may not have been Lynchburg's decision, but still, a school shut down. Please keep Desi open.
Thank you. We will now hear from a citizen regarding September 12th, 23 roll call items. Gail Goldsmith.
Hello, Council. Thank you. My name is Gail Goldsmith, and I'm a proud resident of Ward 2. I had originally planned to speak to you on the vice and immorality part of your work session roll call agenda. It seems to be part of a general genre of legislation across the United States that gets astroturfed in, doesn't really come up from the ground roots. It's intended to limit the flourishing of queer people like myself in public life. So I was delighted to see that it was handled well in the work session. Thank you. However, I really wasn't going to take the night off because I want more for my time and I want more for yours. I want more for my elected officials' time than shooting down vanity resolutions. I wish we were talking about lavish libraries, robust parks and rec funding, reparations for the effects of redlining, how to excessively compensate our teachers and public servants for the amazing work that they do, how to support neighborhood schools like Deerington and T.C. Miller. So this week, my church, Trinity Episcopal Church, was able to help out a family in a tough spot. It was an honor to do so, but something that would have made their life easier beyond just that one night would have been increased access to affordable housing in our city, affordable housing and shelters where people would feel safe. I wish that we were talking about real work against crime in our area. The curfew is too easily used for racial profiling. I wish we were talking about material increases in jobs programs and resources to increase employment, like better public transit. My wife, Kathleen, and I love living here, and we would like to see our city council and work session agendas reflect the things that safeguard a vision for the flourishing of Lynchburg. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll now hear from a citizen regarding Lynchburg Police Department staffing. Martin Mischens.
I used to love doing this. This is fun. Former U.S. Supreme Court Justice William Brennan wrote in a majority opinion that debate on public issues should be uninhibited, robust, and wide open, and that it may well include vehement, caustic, and sometimes unpleasantly sharp attacks on government and public officials. Citizens should be able to freely criticize government and public officials in City Hall, unless there's a greater interest in silence and compliance. Unfortunately, this approach that the majority supported leads to self-censorship in these chambers. I won't stand for it, and I certainly encourage the rest of the public to stand up and speak freely, even when I am the subject of harsh and critical attacks. Maintenance of the opportunity for free political discussion is a fundamental principle of our constitutional system that is essential to the security of the republic, even when expression includes vehement, caustic, and sometimes unpleasantly sharp attacks on government and public officials. Now on to the main topic of my comment. Today, we were emailed an analysis of LPD vacancies. Surprisingly, there wasn't a current number of vacancies on that analysis, which I've been told was close to 30. The analysis also didn't compare us regionally, where the real competition exists for staffing. Our neighboring jurisdictions aren't experiencing the same shortage, and they pay less, far less. A manpower shortage of that magnitude prevents our LPD from handling the workload we, speaking as a citizen, expect the agency to do. It also presents an extraordinary deficit for the ability to maximize officer safety and has turned LPD into a reactive force with severely limited capacity to perform proactive and aggressive interdiction to remove violent offenders from our streets. For a period of over a month this year, the LPD didn't follow through on tips regarding internet crimes against children due to a staffing decision, allowing potential predators and pedophiles to prey on children without challenge for who knows how long. Yet just last week, the Allegheny County Sheriff's Office arrested a Lynchburg man for traveling to have sex with a minor less than 15 years of age. This happened in May also. Did these men abuse children in our city? Did our LPD have tips on their crimes against children that weren't acted on? We may never know. I don't blame the officers. They're working tirelessly to do all they can. But if they can't keep up, they need our support. If LPD investigators have the time to show up and question citizens about social media posts, we have a priority issue in our department. When we are dangerously short on police officers, it's not the time to prioritize a whistleblower witch hunt because it makes the police chief look bad. It's time to investigate the root cause for our shortage of the police officers, and it's time to look at the exit interviews. We need to look at all the information, and we need to fix the staffing problem in our city because we need to protect our children and our citizens.
Thank you. We will now hear from a group representative regarding the Lynchburg Regional Business Alliance. Scott Kowalski.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Mr. Vice Mayor, members of council. My name is Scott Kowalski, and I'm here as the chair of the Government Relations Committee for the Lynchburg Regional Business Alliance. I'm also on the executive committee and on the board of directors. Megan Lucas, our CEO, regrets that she couldn't be here as she is traveling out of town meeting with industrial and manufacturing real estate entities in furtherance of the economic development arm of the Business Alliance. The city, as you may well know, is a valuable economic development partner with the Alliance and a long-standing and good-standing member of the Alliance. Together, we have been working diligently to impact the growth and development and success of the city. Our partnership with the city, especially with the Office of Economic Development, has touted and seen some great strides in recent past. We've recently announced the Delta Star expansion for 149 new jobs and $30.2 million in additional capital investment in the city. We've also been working together with the Economic Development Authority here in the city on the US EDA Technology and Innovation Hub application. We've hosted 3 industry site visits with manufacturers year to date considering expansion into our city. We've also held 21 business retention and expansion, or BRE, visits this year. Additionally, we are assisting the existing business community and our 836 members of the association with operations, initiatives, and other inspirations. I want to take a brief moment to address an email that each of you recently received regarding the Lynchburg Regional Business Alliance and the DEI, or Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion page. Approximately 6 weeks ago, an Alliance member notified us that there were external links on our website that did not align with the Alliance's business-related mission. The Alliance immediately suspended the page, investigated the links, and took them down. We realized we, as an Alliance, need to do a much better job of vetting and continuing to inspect any external links that we have on our website, and we will continue to do that. Rest assured that the Alliance leadership is on top of this and committed to increased oversight over external links so that it doesn't happen again. Our intent was to support businesses, much like we did with our COVID business resource page, not to advance any adverse agendas. That being said, I have 3 other updates I'd like to give you on the Alliance's work here in the region. First, we recently applied for a tech hub federal planning grant in partnership with the city and several other partners. The tech hub application focused on our region's strong nuclear industry and how we can plan for the future of our skilled workforce. This is a highly competitive process all across the nation, and we are hopeful that sometime in the fall we will learn that we've received the grant. We hope to be selected for that planning grant. Secondly, we continue to promote the redevelopment of the CVTC, the Central Virginia Training Center, which is just across the river in Amherst County, but we believe the redevelopment of that property is going to be a huge business innovation and business development generation for the city. As you may well know, there's an additional $6 million in the most recent state budget that we received in order to advance the remediation of the site and incentivize a future buyer to redevelop the property. Third, we continue to see huge interest in Lynchburg and the region from site selectors and businesses looking to relocate or expand existing businesses here. For example, we have recently hosted several businesses interested in our region. The region has a lot of interest, and we will strive to translate that interest into new jobs and capital investment for the city in the very near future. Thank you for allowing me to give you this update on the LRBA, and I'll hand over my remaining time.
Thank you so much. Okay, we'll now hear from a citizen regarding the merit resolution, Mr. Peter Seferati.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Hi. I'm going to ask your indulgence. I'm not going to speak about the merit resolution at this time based on a conversation with a couple people. I'd like to delay that if it's okay with you. But I would like to speak about communication from the city government, if it's okay with you. Thank you. Specifically, I want to talk about communication about the action and inaction which took place leading to the special August 22nd meeting dealing with the lack of staff in the registrar's office. You received an email from myself and 17 others on August 17th asking for action in this matter, and I'd like to thank you for the action that was taken. But part of that email also asked for an explanation of why the registrar was not able to hire his required deputies. So far, we've had no communication about this cause of this situation, and I think this is a really important situation, and I think that, or we think that the citizens of this city should be advised about the workings of the government and how we came to this situation. How did this develop? It seemed like we're unsure. Did you not know about the situation? Was it put aside because there was more important matters? Was it people trying to delay this for some other reason? We have no idea because we're not getting any communication. Now, I don't expect you to answer me tonight because that's against your policy, but you guys have my email address, or there's other ways to communicate with the citizens. And even as individual counselors, you have emails, email newsletters. We'd really like to know how we got to the situation going into an election. Early voting starts third week of September, and the deputy registers just got introduced at the electoral board office meeting on Thursday. Somebody dropped the ball, or the ball was dropped by, or maybe the ball wasn't even blown up, inflated, who knows. But we'd like to know. I think it's important, and I hope you'd agree that the citizens have a right to know, and you have a duty to tell us as our representatives and as our governing body. So I don't know how you plan to handle that. I hope you do plan to handle that communication, but please let us know. We can do better than what we saw happen in the registrar's office. I know we can do better than this, but part of knowing how to do it better is to find out what was done not so good. So love to hear about that. Thank you very much, and I do appreciate all your work. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from a citizen regarding the proposed closure of T.C. Miller Elementary, Mr. Mark Furlow.
Good evening. I'm Reverend Mark Furlow. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of the Episcopal Diocese of Southwestern Virginia, serving 50 churches across Southwestern Virginia, including 4 in Lynchburg. I'm coming to you today as a resident of Lynchburg and a father of a T.C. Miller third grader, who's in Shrek the Musical, by the way. I love Lynchburg. I've been here for 13 years. But I rise to speak today to advocate for public education as it relates to the proposed closing of T.C. Miller and the needed funding of the future for our school system, and by extension Deerington as well. As I mentioned to the school board the other day, I'm eager to share how much I love being a Lynchburger. Even today, I was breathing easier getting back from Roanoke, or yesterday, Lexington, to come home. On the other hand, I am not on board with underfunding our schools. And the recent proposals of the school board to close key schools because they felt they didn't have the revenue, that needs to be reversed and changed. I encourage them to find their voices and to be leaders, and to fund both the human resourcing, the teachers, and the infrastructure of the schools. Even with COLA, our teachers are underpaid. And we need to fund vital infrastructure, such as our buildings. These are community centers that live in our neighborhoods and have their own measure of importance in neighborhoods and localities in context. And we need to value their narratives and the importance in our community. Today, I'm here with you to advocate for the revenue, because that's what they feel is missing, I think. They're feeling like they have to close schools because they don't have the funding. And I'm advocating for us to dig deeper. We need to address tax revenue streams as a city, balance the budget, and prioritize things that really matter to our citizens, such as public education, our families, children's, and schools. I've been here and witnessed CSO projects, digging up Fifth Street multiple times, renovating high schools, but we can dig deeper in 2024 for funding education, and we can find the tax revenue streams to do so. I am all about our communities, and I'm all about measures that make sense for how we're dealing with our schools, funding them, and supporting them in the future. We need to dig deeper other than just thinking about cost centers and thinking about comparing them like branch banks. They are deep community centers that have deep narratives and need to be valued, funded, and our teachers supported in a real way. Please increase the school revenue. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will now hear from a citizen regarding the Merit Excellence and Opportunity Resolution, Mr. John Vassar.
Getting old is one thing. It's the alternative that makes it worse. All right, here we go. All right. Evening, council, fellow citizens, and members of our community. I'd like to make my comments addressing my good friend, Councilor Mission's Merit Excellence and Opportunity Resolution, MEO. Now, I support this resolution in principle. However, as the legendary athlete and actor Tim Moore, may he rest in peace, used to say, before proceeding, let us check, double check, and triple check. Now, I have been unable to locate a written listing of the original source materials, academic citations, legal citations and references, and court decisions supporting this resolution. This was a common practice when I was working on Capitol Hill or at the White House or at the Pentagon. I trust that if not already posted somewhere, I'm sure it is somewhere, that they will be made available in order to facilitate the processing of this resolution, which has the potential to reinforce the legitimacy of the city of Lynchburg's civil service. I would also like to bring up another point. Yesterday, a friend of mine contacted me and reminded me of something I had forgotten about. As many of you know, I'm suffering from dementia. And my mind is starting to slip, and I just wanted to bring back the support, the 9/11 support of the rescue, recovery, and reconstitution support provided by my comrade in arms in the National Guard, as well as their support of combat operations in opposing the Al-Qaeda and Taliban armed forces. It began on 9/11. Our first flight missions began on 9/11, rescue and recovery, and continued on through fighting the Al-Qaeda and Taliban armed forces, which, contrary to popular belief, were quite formidable. All right, thank you for your time. I yield.
Thank you. Okay, our last person, we'll hear from citizen, Mr. Alan Tresker.
I'm Alan Trevsker. I just want to say that not using merit-based is very harmful to everyone involved. Thomas Sowell wrote on this very extensively, and he said that not having merit-based for admissions or for jobs harms the person who gets the job or gets admitted more than anyone else, because they get promoted or they get a job or they get admitted to a position that is above their ability. And so the rate of failure is extremely high, and he has shown this in many, many studies. This has been very painful for a person, Mr. Aska. He wanted to be a pilot. He did very well on all the tests, except he didn't do well on when things went wrong. Well, he took off from Miami, and he flew in 2019, and he crashed because he panicked. And he was a minority from Antigua. His wife found out that he had failed all those tests. He did well on the flying test, but he did not pass. When things went wrong, he panicked. But the airline hired him anyway because they wanted to make sure they had diversity. His wife is now suing the airline for crashing the 767 Boeing airplane with everyone perishing. She is suing the airline for hiring and putting her husband in that position. The other group that it hurts terribly is the excellent minorities who get whispered behind their back. Did this person get their job because of affirmative action? When I was young, I'm 70 years old. When I was young, African American doctors were considered extremely excellent. Why? Because they overcame so much. How sad it is that many times today, those excellent people now get whispered behind their back that maybe they got there because they didn't deserve it. We need to have a merit-based, because not having a merit-based is harmful to everyone involved. Thank you very much.
All right, moving on to general business. The next section is general business. This section includes general items of new business. Consideration of adopting Resolution R23, approving the execution of a negotiated comprehensive agreement between the Lynchburg City School Board, Lynchburg City Schools, and Southern Air, Inc. for the design and construction of heating system upgrades at Dunbar Middle School. This item was presented to council during our business item briefings on June 13th, 2023. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
I just think this is it's a good opportunity to use some of these COVID relief funds that are sitting there unspent, because I think that's primarily where you can come up here and I can probably ask a couple questions. It's primarily that those are funds that if we don't spend them, they're going to disappear, right?
That's right. These are COVID relief funds that we do need to spend.
So these are one-time funds that are going to disappear if we don't spend them. And I can't think of a greater way to use them than, really doing these much-needed renovations in Dunbar Middle School.
Dr. Wilder?
Comments?
No? Okay, let's go ahead and vote, please.
Motion passes 7-0.
Madam Mayor, if I could just
Yes.
thank all the number of city departments that were involved in this negotiating process. Mr. Friedman's office, Ms. Witt's office, Ms. Suter's office really helped us get this done, get it done well. This is Lynchburg City Schools' first PPEA project. We're very excited about it. This is a very needed project, and there's lots of folks that worked really well together to make it happen. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, moving on. Consideration of introducing Resolution R23, amending the fiscal year 2024 city, federal, and state aid fund budget and appropriating $57,200 for the purchase of one LifePak 15 monitor defibrillator and one Lucas 2 chest compression system. This item went to our Finance Committee on August 8th, and I will defer to the chair of that committee, Vice Mayor Feraldi.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The item is as discussed. For those who don't know, these are very wonderful pieces of resource for our men and women in the fire department, and I so move.
All right, we do not need a second. Any discussion?
Unless the chief has.
Chief Wormser, would you like to say anything?
I do not have anything to add.
Okay, let's go ahead and vote then.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you all.
Great, thank you. All right, second reading. Consideration of adopting Resolution R2370, amending the fiscal year 24 general fund budget and appropriating up to $100,000 and transferring a full-time vacant benefited employment position from a city department to the office of their general registrar for the purpose of helping the general registrar with staffing issues. This is a second reading from our August 22nd special called meeting. May I have a motion on the resolution?
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. You want to speak to your motion?
Tell me.
You want to speak to your second?
Right. Yeah. I guess with this, as Mr. Seferati had mentioned earlier, and I think I discussed last time when this came up, so we don't make these mistakes again. As he said, we need to discuss why this happened. Why were these deputies not able to be hired when we have an election that's beginning early voting in 2 weeks? And so with that, so we don't make these mistakes again, the question of why needs to be addressed. I think I have seen enough emails back and forth to kind of have a clue as to why. The electoral board was working feverishly, but there was roadblocks, and those kind of things we need to address why, so this doesn't happen again, because we have elections that are happen again. I think in January there's going to be beginning for primaries, and then next year there'll be elections for the president. And if we're having disagreements between maybe attorneys or difference of opinion between departments, we need to find out why.
Any further discussion? Councilman Shins?
Just, let me take a look at the resolution here real quick. So I'm not going to be supporting this resolution because I didn't support it at the special meeting, and it's not because I don't want the funding to go to the registrar's office. It's because I don't think that it's appropriate to turn that money back in, or that position back in at the end of January. We're entering into uncharted territories next year with the first presidential primary that we're going to have, where we have 45 days of early voting. So in January, they're going to be wrapping up the November election, closing the books on all of that. And then we're going to soon turn around and start 45 days of early voting for the presidential primary. And I just don't think that that is the time to have to focus on turning this position back in. So it's my hope that between now and then that we're able to secure that third full-time position permanently for the registrar's office. So I just want to make it clear, it's not that I don't support the funding, I just don't think it goes far enough. I think we need to put a permanent third deputy registrar in that office.
Vice Mayor Feraldi?
I disagree. I do not believe long-term effect that adding a full-time, how do we say, bureaucrat will be the solution. Thank you.
Okay, let's vote.
Yeah, I'm going to clear the vote.
All right, one more time.
I
Let's
think we
vote.
know what's going on.
Vote one more time.
The motion passes 6-1.
Great. Okay. Well, on a personal note, I have a 17-year-old son tonight. It's his birthday, so we're going to adjourn this meeting so I can go spend some time with my baby. Our next regularly scheduled meeting will be held on September 26, 2023 at 4 p.m. in Council Chambers. Thank you so much.